What is up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Live Locks here on RotoGrinders, sponsored by Scores and Odds. If you haven't signed up for yet, we'll be going through all the little tools that we have. We have picks over there, all sorts of things, including my Grant's Action Lounge Discord channel, currently free over on the Scoresandodds.com/Discord channel. Just go to Scoresandodds.com/Discord and boom, that's it. You go there, sign up, and you get in there. And you can get access to all my picks, including all these ones that are on the screen. And it's really simple. It's going to be moving over to premium, but you got a month to make some money on that so you can pay for your premium very easily. We're up, 15 units, something like that on the channel so far, and it's been less than a week. So go sign up for that and go like and subscribe over on the Scores and Odds channel and the Scores and Odds Twitter, because we're going to be moving the stream from the RotoGrinders channel over to Scores and Odds. So just so you know, if you don't see this next week, we are moving it over to that channel next week. So just go subscribe over there and you'll get notifications. But I'm joined by someone who I talk to constantly throughout the day, every day, about gambling. And we kind of have picks going back and forth constantly throughout the day. Jordan Davis, a.k.a. Smartwater. How you doing over there, buddy?
I'm doing good. Hopefully my the house that I'm building will be ready soon and I won't have such awful lighting, because right now I look two-faced. Devin right now, our producer, hates me. He's literally cringing right now, but this is the best that we can do right now. And but yeah, as you said, we talk a lot, so it will but it's been can't lie, it's been working out pretty damn well, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Devin doesn't like mine. My lighting is a lamp because my light and fan are connected. So I can't turn on the light without turning on the fan, and it gets freezing in my house because I'm in the darkest corner of the basement. So, yeah, and I have my window behind my green screen here covered with a blackout curtain. So, yeah, I don't get any heat in here, and I don't have any lighting. It's a dungeon. But you know what?
Did the wife shun you to the basement, or?
No, it was kind of my pick to whenever we have company over that I don't feel like dealing with. It's really nice. I just come down to the basement and boom, I'm good.
That's fair. That's fair.
No, it's at the end of the hallway in the basement, like all as far away from everyone else as you can possibly be. So I'm okay with it. And there's a bunch of room in here. So I really can't complain. But we got some bets to start going. I think we're just going to go game by game. We've been doing that recently. We'll start off with Detroit versus Washington. This is one bet I talked to you about. The only one I think I really have. Oh, wait, no, I've got two. I got Kuzma over 36.5 points, rebounds, assists, and Neto over 4.5 assists. Both of them are one sitting at plus 100. Over on DK, Kuzma sitting at minus 111. Over on FanDuel. I like both of them quite a bit. I think they're both pretty solid overall bets. Neto has been hitting this at a fairly consistent rate, and Kuzma, he's been hitting this with points alone almost recently, and he's getting 15 boards a game. He's getting 4 to 7 assists a game, so this is just a fantastic bet here. I assume you're on the same page?
Yep, Kuzma, as you said, I mean, just his role right now is everything. So the only thing is they're awful, but luckily they're not going against a team that is very good, so I'm not too concerned with that. But I will be the first one to admit this is not my favorite slate. I don't like tons. A lot of teams that I really hate are on this slate, but that doesn't mean that there's not some good bets out there. And I think it's important that we don't feel the need to bet just a ton just because there's an NBA slate. But you definitely have a lot, like always. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's always money to be made. I mean, I'm not getting the normal 10% like any given day, I'll have 30 bets out of there, and like 20% of them will be 10% projected ROI, and like 30% of them will be like 1 to 4. On this slate, yeah, like I don't have many that are 10% projected ROI, but I have a few in here. I just, and my units are always pretty much the same, and like it's about $500 a pop, and if I have to, sometimes like on the Capella bet, I don't know if you saw me changing this, but over at, it's actually supposed to be a FanDuel. FanDuel limited me to 241, so I had to go over to Bet Rivers where it was minus 106 because compared to minus 104. And put some more money on there. Sometimes that's just what you have to do because sportsbook limiting you. But yeah, and that's basically what it is. But yeah, that's really all I've got for this game. Do you see anything else? I almost took.
Where's the chat for this show? By the way,
over on YouTube.
Okay, that's why you heard.
Yeah, I guess I did bet Sadiq Bey over 1.5 turnovers at plus 165. Like that was just silly odds over there. Offshore sportsbooks really like the over on his turnovers. I mean, it's a game where it's going to stay close. I mean, you look at his game log in games where it stays close. A lot of times he's hitting that 2 or 3. So I give it close to a 48% chance of hitting. So giving it like plus 165 odds is massive there.
Yes, I mean Bay's all over the place, so I mean it's kind of tough to know. I haven't looked at his turnovers, but I did look at a few of his other props, and I didn't pull the trigger yet, so I definitely will consider that one. Anything, I definitely think it's important to kind of do what you're doing, and that's give yourself some upside picks every day that are just kind of higher odds one. Very similar to cash games, for example, when you enter the 5X's and all of that. I think it is important to kind of get a few bankroll builders in there and stuff. And so some of these higher odd ones that have a little bit of variance, like turnovers, blocks, and steals, you and I have been hitting a bit more. I think there actually is a decent amount of value in them.
Yeah. No, I mean turnovers, like a lot of lines are exactly where they should be, but you occasionally also sportsbooks don't spend as much time, so you can get a drastic amount of variance on each of the turnover lines. Like, let's see what's Bay sitting at on other sites. Sadiq Bey, he's actually sitting at 170 now over on Caesars, while he's sitting at plus 135 over on DK and MGM. But you just get like these massive disparities every single day on certain lines. So, I mean, 1.5, probably a little bit too low here. Let's move on to the next game here. We got Atlanta versus Boston. I got a few bets in here. So Jaylen Brown, probably going to be covering Trae Young. I got the over of 1.5 blocks/steals. Like, obviously, certain teams steal or turn the ball over more, but anytime you got a guy like Jaylen Brown likely covering Trae Young, I mean, it might be Marcus Smart, but if Marcus Smart's on him, then, I mean, there's still Bogdanovich, Hunter. There's still a decent amount of probability of him getting some blocks and steals here. He's a little bit up and down in terms of those, looking at his game log, but getting this at 140, I feel like is pretty solid. And I did something interesting that you kind of commented on before the show, which I'm realizing my mistake. I bet the over on 1.5 assists for DeAndre Hunter at plus 140. I bet the over on his rebounds at 3.5 at minus 118. But I bet the under on his points, rebounds, assists at 19.5. And I mean, you had 3.5 plus 1.5, that's 5. So that's actually saying his PRA or his points projection at around, at around 14.5. Well, it's 13.5 over on other sites. So I thought about betting the under on points. I ended up going with the under on points, rebounds, assists. It also gives me a little bit of a potential hedge in there where likely can easily win 2 out of 3, if not 3 out of 3. But if you want to just bet the under on his points, not go a little bit more hedgy, but I think the over on his assists of 1.5 is a fantastic line, getting it at plus 140. I think RG Projections has him projected for 1.7. It's just a bad line over at Caesars. He had 4 in the last game.
Yeah, it's that's assist, right? Hunter assist 1.5.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the disparity just all around. I mean, you that for assists, I mean, you're seeing plus 135, 130. You got it at plus 140. Yeah, it's funny because some of the really sharp books are hammering the under. And I don't quite know why. I haven't really looked into it. You're very sharp. So and I think for NBA, when looking at box scores, not enough people do it, and then a certain percentage overvalues box scores. And there is kind of, I know this sounds silly, an art to actually being able to kind of figure them out. But I do think NBA, there are a lot of kind of ebbs and flows to how teams are running stuff. So this could be you jumping ahead of the books, and in no time that's 2.5, tomorrow.
Well, I mean yeah, that's the main thing. This is actually, I'm looking. You can still get it plus 135 over at MGM, but a lot of offshore sports books are on the under. But when I got the line, it was plus 140, and now it's sitting at plus 115 over on Caesars, which honestly, dropping this into the Grants Action Lounge, I've started to notice that enough people are betting these lines where a lot of the ones I end up hitting move drastically on at least the site that I put down there. So that may have something to do with it. But I mean, 140 is just too good of odds here. And like even offshore sports books kind of agree with me that 140 is just far, far too high.
I was going to say they don't like the over, but they will probably agree with you. I think they're closer to more plus 108, that sort of territory for it. So, I mean, you're still actually getting 32 points of value, which is monstrous.
Yeah, and then you had one that you liked here. I think you said Marcus Smart was one you're on. And I think Meansy wrote that up.
Marcus Smart 5.5. That was like the first bet I hit today. I got it at plus 100 at MGM. I think you look at it. I mean, he's hitting this number very consistent. Offshore books loved it. RG projections were over 7, and then you're getting plus 100. I mean, even if I was getting minus 110, I would have hit it. But getting plus 100, I'm a sucker for it, and it checked all the boxes. So I don't actually have some real analysis on it. It's just the process led me to it. And anytime it gets the Meansy approval, I'm always happy.
Yep, Meansy definitely knows his basketball. And yeah, you look at the game log, 7, 7, 6, 1, 7, 7, 3, 2, 6, 6, 7, 12. Like he's hitting it at 75% clip, so getting it plus 100.
And I mean,
decent matchup going up against Atlanta.
The one I'm assuming is when he got hurt and he only played a few minutes. So that is correct. Yeah. So
and then
all the more
3 and the 2 are both blowouts.
Yeah.
And this game is sitting at 6.5 point line, so not great, but not terrible. And they're the favorite, so I worry about blowouts with overs less when it's the favorite than when it's not. So
did you touch on Capella?
I did not touch on Capella, but I did actually bet that. We talked about that earlier, and I kind of glossed over it. But yeah, Capella over 11.5 rebounds. I mean, so I think the last game was a blowout. He hasn't been run in the fourth recently, but Collins is unlikely to play, and they need some size going up against Boston. They'll need a lot of size with Horford, with Tatum, with Williams. Like they need him bad. So he's going to play 30 minutes, I believe, in this spot here. In which case, 11.5 is way too low. And you're kind of on the same page.
I mean, if you look, it's so small, but I believe he played 18 minutes or something the last game, and he got 9. I can't remember. I'm just going off the top of my head, but it was something
that is correct.
Right? Okay, so I mean, if the only thing that holds Capella's massive production back is his minutes, which I know sounds silly as far as why would somebody that productive not see minutes, but I'm not the coach and all of that. But if he's on the court, if you're saying 30 minutes, there aren't many spots where you shouldn't be smashing every over for Capella if you think he's going to play that many minutes.
Yeah, and he also you look at his last game with 18 minutes. That game was a blowout. You look at the Orlando game, which you can do right here real easily on Court IQ. That was a blowout. So he's not getting run in the fourth in blowouts, but Chicago, 29 minutes. Cleveland, 30 minutes. Boston, 31 minutes. And then I think before that, San Antonio, Collins was in the game. And that's where I was hitting all the unders for him because he was not playing the fourth. And I had...
What is that, 17 rebounds against Boston? 31 minutes? We'll take that.
Yeah, and then, I mean, he only had 7 versus Cleveland, but that's, again, Cleveland. The other game where he played 30 minutes, Chicago, 17 rebounds. So, yeah, it's real easy there. Let's move on to the next game, Brooklyn versus Toronto. Before the show, I don't think I've even dropped this into chat yet. You kind of talked me into Scotty Barnes over 25.5 PRA, and I really like that. I immediately hit that as soon as you mentioned it to me. He's been doing a lot. Our current projections have him for slightly over that with Van Vliet projected to play. So if Van Vliet's out, this is an absolute smash spot for him. So I like that. What else did I hit in this game? Let's
You had
see.
Mills. I think you had a Patty Mills bet, if I remember.
Patty Mills over 11.5 points, which I keep betting, and it keeps just destroying my soul.
Yeah.
I don't know if I had anyone else. Like the numbers say play Patty Mills over 11.5 points. But it just keeps. And then I had Seth Curry over 26.5. Oh, no, that's Steph Curry. Never mind. I was going to say I didn't think
I would just tell everyone, this is why I don't really like this slate a lot, that a lot of these teams that I don't like taking players from are playing and all of that. The Nets are awful, so I do think that there is some value. Just also fully be prepared if you take anybody in this game that it could be over by halftime, that sort of thing. I mean, the Nets, it wouldn't shock me if it was 70-40 at halftime, like we've seen often with the Nets. But with that being said, that's why I think it's fine to take Barnes. I think we're free rolling the upside. If there is injury news for Toronto and that happens, then I think Barnes's PRA will probably be projected closer to, I don't know, what do you think, 29-30, that sort of thing.
Probably 28.5, 29.5.
A decent amount more, 3 more, let's just say. We'll tack on 3, which makes it a huge smash then. I refuse to. The amount of Mills that I've bet early in the year, you continue to ride the train. I just can't do it. I would rather not make money than bet on that guy. But I will say, from my memory, he has been shooting legitimately awful.
1 for 8, 0 for 3, 0 for 9.
Yeah, if I remember. Okay, so yeah, it's been rough. But that team's been rough. But there are some props in that. I mean, there's some James Johnson ones that are popping in offshore. If it stays close, I think a lot of these props are too small. So if you're more risk, if you're more risk advert, maybe don't. But I do think there is some value on the Nets guys. I don't know if I'll end up taking it, but yeah, like I said, I do think there is a few props out there.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's an ugly game. Let's move on to a more fun game. I've got a few props in this. Clippers going up against Houston. Reggie Jackson over 6.5 assists. I think RG's projections really likes it. Offshore books really like it. Saying at -130 over on Caesars. It's a prop that I hit at a pretty consistent basis whenever he's in a good spot. And I bet Terrence Mann over 5.5 rebounds and Marcus Morris over 4.5 rebounds. I got Morris at +105, which is pretty solid here. So I got a few over on the Clipper side. I mean, it's a solid matchup versus Houston. Houston, one of the fastest paced teams in the league. I think the fastest paced team in the league. Not good defensively, not great on the boards. Like Mann and Morris should be playing the minutes. Both of them should end up with a decent rebounding output. And then Jackson, I think in the last game he had what was it? Last game he only had 2 versus Houston.
Oh, that's Mann.
I was going to say, I'm like, that doesn't sound right. I know I bet the over on it, and I was fairly certain that it won pretty easily.
Jackson last game, he might have won. Yeah, he had pretty good.
He got yanked in the fourth. That was a blowout.
For a part of the year to where we didn't allow each other to bet Clippers players. So to see you have 3, a little bit of PTSD is striking up right now, but they have been more. You and I were hammering them, and then all of a sudden the second unit became, Jackson was playing 13 minutes and they were getting benched, and it was kind of miserable for that time period. It seems like there is a little bit more consistency in all of that. Knock on wood, but this is another reason why I say this slate's not the slate for me liking people. But I also have Jackson 6.5 assists. I think there's plenty of value. Offshore books have that at almost -160, and you can get that in most places at -130. RG projections like it. I think that's a no-brainer bet right there.
Yeah, and then one that the prop model got me on, Batum over 1.5 assists. This has worked out terrible for me every single time I've hit it. I think he's ended up with 1 with like 4 potential assists every time, but it's sitting at +125.
So Batum, actually, I was going to bring up right now. He's popping on offshores for 12.5 PRA. He's almost up to minus 150, and you can get that at minus 115 at a lot of places, Caesars and MGM. Man, looking at Batum's game long, so I took his rebounds last game, and in that hit, it was over 200 offshore books had, and you were getting great value. You would look at 12.5 and be like, how does anyone not pass 12.5 PRA, right? Batum kind of is one of those guys that can show you how it's done, but if you like some of his overs and the offshore books are just pounding it, I think RG has over 14. I think I just looked while we were on here. That was me kind of trying to sneak away. We have 14 point. It just dropped a little, but it's 14, over 14 now. I think that is a possible one just because of the matchup and all of it.
Yeah, I'm putting it on the board.
I would warn everyone, I would not do what Grant is doing. Maybe he's super sharp, but personally, I do not want that many Clippers players. But I do think taking a few of these could be good.
I'm running so hot right now. I just don't care. I have won so much money this month or last month. So we'll see how it ends up going. But yeah, that's kind of it for the Clippers game. I didn't see anything over on the Houston side that I really liked. I don't think they have a ton of lines out. But the Golden State versus Minnesota game, I didn't love a ton here. Edwards and Cat crushed my soul last night. That Cleveland versus Minnesota game crushed my soul last night. But Steph over 26.5 points, sitting at minus 115 over on MGM. That's a good line there. Like
I'm pretty sure I went 0 for 4 in that game. Like nothing. I mean, I took the Mobley.
I got the under of 1.5 assists with Jared Allen and the over of 16.5 points with Jared Allen, and then missed both my Markkanen bets, missed my Edwards bet, my Towns bet. It was rough.
Yeah, I've lost so much money on Mobley overs this year that I finally took his first under 28.5 PRA, and he got 29 in the last second, and I just tilted my face off. Towns had 14 points at like halftime. He just decided to not score again. I think maybe he ended with 17 or something. And then I got to give props to you. Love played a shit ton, and he scored a bunch and all of that, which you were worried about the Markkanen. I will say, though, that Markkanen still played like 36 minutes or something like that. I mean, he still
shot awful. He shot awful.
So I didn't hate that bet since we got it at plus 100, but that game was just miserable to follow along with.
Yeah. I mean, it was not great. Is there any other bet from this game that you like?
This game I have Looney over 7.5. I'm not sure if you said that or not. I've been betting him a bit more consistent. It's been like 6.5, and he's been hitting that almost regularly. So I like that. The offshore books are really big into that. I actually just bet. I'm not saying it's great, but a lot of it fits the process. Gary Payton over 8.5 points.
I thought about that one.
It's minus 150 in offshores. I'm getting minus 120. The last three. Sorry, I got my all my sports betting screens are over here. I believe he's like 10, 12, and 13. Oh, I have it written down. 12, 10, and 13 points in the last 3 games, which I know some of them, don't involve Clay and all of that. But I think is Clay playing today?
If I remember correctly, he is not. Yeah, he's out.
So 12. With that being said, then 12, 10, 13, the past 3, 8.5. Offshore books loving it. I think I think that's, again, you talked about the range of bets. We don't have a lot of 10%ers or anything on this. I don't think this definitely falls into that, but I think this is one of the better ones on the slate, according to my process.
You got me convinced, sitting at minus 120 over on DK. I hit it. Making money moves on the show. Someone's saying that they can't see the sheet at all. I mean, full screen it is the only thing I can suggest to you.
Yeah,
but also
really,
sign up for the Discord. Yeah, you got to full screen it, but if not, sign up for the Discord. I'm dropping all these bets over in the Discord every single day. Go to scoresandodds.com/Discord. It's in the comment section. Go there and sign up for Discord. And yeah, what happened to you guys?
On this slate, I kind of like to target games instead of instead of just all over the place, since I don't like many of the games. Any thoughts? I know that it's easy to convince you because you're running so hot on all of this and you want action, but I did bring it up pre-show. Steph Curry over 4.5 rebounds. And again, the reason why I'm interested in this, offshore books love it, RG projections like it, and then this is the sort of game that I just want to target: massive total, close, all of that.
What did you get the line at?
So none of the lines are I guess some of them. I see the best one is -140, but
yeah,
some of the offshore books have it as high, into the -170s. So we might have been a little late on that, but I do think that if somebody's just looking to, get a little bit more action down today, I think you could do worse than Curry 4.5. Surprisingly, Curry is not that bad of a rebounder for him, for his size and all that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's fast-paced matchup. Minnesota's running at the fastest pace in the league over the last 10 games, or second fastest pace in the league. I think Orlando's actually first in that span. But yeah, I don't hate that. I'm probably staying away from that one. Last game we got is
you can get like -120. -120 or better, I think it's more of a hit, but up to -140, I think a lot of the value is already gone.
Yeah. Last game we got on the slate is the Lakers going up against Dallas. I'm not sure. Oh, I forgot. I also hit KCP over 19.5 points, rebounds, assists. But this Dallas game, I have the under of Brunson rebounds. I accidentally hit the over on Luka assists, which I'm regretting. And RG's model actually likes the under. I'm just going to roll with it. Normally, I'd just put double down on the opposite side, but I'm just hoping my mistake ends up hitting. But Brunson under 3.5 rebounds, getting at +120 over at MGM is pretty solid. I feel like there should be more that I like in this game. I thought about hitting the over on Luka points just because it's matchup versus versus Lakers. Like, it's solid. You can get it at -105 over on Fox Bet and over at Caesars. But I just, there's not a ton I love here. I mean, honestly, if you want to take the under on LeBron James points at 28.5, that's not a bad move, but not a ton to love in this game.
Yeah, I think the under is fine on Brunson. I'm seeing value there. I see it as more a little bit more 52% or so on the under, and you definitely got it better than that. So they have it about -105 in some of the sharp books. I'm telling you, this slate, this is probably my least favorite slate in the past month and a half. So it's kind of a crappy time to come on the show, but it is what it is. I will say that the one bet I don't think I mentioned, since you kind of went back, I'm betting on your favorite guy, a guy that we all have our weak spots. I always joke about, you have Cade Cunningham and Desmond Bane have to be some of your most bet guys of this year. Yep. And I certainly have my I did take Cunningham over 27.5. It was all the way up to 29.5 at some books. Offshores have it at -150. DraftKings has it at -150, and then it's sitting at -115 on Caesars. So I do think there is some value there going against a crappy Washington team. Just due to getting it at -115. Again, if you even start getting close to -125 or so, I'm passing, but seeing the difference, -150 to 115, I'm just going to fire at that.
You got me sold. You know I love Cade.
I didn't think that.
I absolutely love betting Cade.
Him and Desmond Bane, I have to admit, you have probably bet every single time they're on a slate.
I did not bet Desmond. I almost bet the under on Desmond Bane yesterday, which would have hit on his PRA, and I decided not to.
That guy, he looks like he would be the best. His arms are the size, you know what I mean? He's just this ridiculous, and then you watch him shoot just bricks 24/7. I mean, it's just, that guy has crushed me so many times. But one guy who does not disappoint is Morant. The highlights from Morant's game yesterday were unbelievable.
That 0.4 seconds left, Steven Adams full court pass and tip shot, and that wasn't even a tip shot.
I mean, he basically took off from the free throw line and dunked just completely over somebody. It was just, him and Shea are pretty much the same. They're so similar in how they play. It's just Ja is a lot more explosive.
Ja's a lot more explosive. He's a lot better on the offensive end, and SGA is a lot better defender. Like SGA is also a guy that's entering the Bane and Cunningham territory for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's been tough. Some of these guys, they just I mean, how many times have you and I bet DeRozan? I think, what do I text you every day? Death, taxes, and DeRozan overs. I mean, I actually didn't bet him.
Finally missed last night. Yeah,
okay, that was the first.
I knew I shouldn't have.
That was the first day that I took off. But I mean, man, that guy, you can't even be mad. What he's 9-1 for you or something like that in the past month. Like
he hit, I think that the prior 9 games in a row, which I had is over on every single one.
Yeah, it's been easy money, but I wish I had more bets. I'm kind of I'm going to continue to monitor the market and all of that, but as of right now, it's probably going to be a little bit slower of a day for me.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, we should probably get on out of here right now. It's about that time. Any last minute thoughts before we roll on out?
No, I was going to see if anything popped, but I think we kind of touched on everything. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, and again, guys, go over to the Grant's Action Lounge on Discord. Dropping in, if you just look at the pin tweet, every single bet outside of the boots, I don't think are there, are just saved as the last pin tweet. Again, we're up a decent amount of units. I think we lost about 5 yesterday, but still up about 20 on the season, something like that, which has been 5 days. 20 in units in the last 5 days, which is great. Yeah. So that's basically the show, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Go subscribe over to the Scores and Odds channel on YouTube. So go follow them on Twitter. That's where this is moving over to next week. But Smartwater, thanks for joining me. I'll be talking to you throughout the days. We're out of here. See you, kids.